Here's your wrestling news for April 30th, 2021. And if you like what you're watching, smash that like button and give us 1,000 likes or more. And your headlines for today include: Alberto Del Rio accuses Paige of breaking $1 million confidentiality agreement. Del Rio shares explosive details of his relationship with Paige. Aleister Black names his next WWE Smackdown target, Seth Rollins. WWE wrestler pitched to become Dominik Mysterio's girlfriend in WWE. Why Sasha Banks was kept out of Smackdown Women's title picture after WrestleMania. Two major possibilities planned for Roman Reigns vs. Daniel Bryan's match on WWE SmackDown. Road Dogg returns to WWE NXT this week after heart attack. Big Cass's current contract status with Impact Wrestling revealed. It wasn't even my decision. Former WWE star had heat for working closely with Vince McMahon, and more. We're kicking off with some SummerSlam news, as WWE is hoping to have this year's event in front of live fans. Now we have an update about the biggest party of the summer, as WrestleVotes reports that there's now a rumored location that'd excite a lot of people, but it's too early to disclose it now, as plans could always change. Their report noted that fans should know whether SummerSlam will be hosted out of the Thunderdome, and if so, where, for definite by June. Last year's SummerSlam was WWE's first pay-per-view in the Thunderdome, and from all accounts, it sounds like WWE have some big plans for this year's show, plans that'll involve a live crowd in attendance. Now, in 2016, Alberto Del Rio and Paige were in a very toxic relationship and were briefly engaged before they split in December the next year. Scenes of the two arguing in public were common across social media, and whilst speaking to Hugo Savinovich this week, Del Rio discussed his former fiancée. He said, "Paige and I could have built an empire together because of our talents, because of what was around us. Instead of taking advantage and growing as a couple, we did the opposite. We dedicated ourselves to doing things that were not productive neither for our careers nor for our lives." Del Rio also claimed that after splitting, the pair signed a $1 million confidentiality agreement, which he believes Paige broke. "After signing it, I found out that Paige didn't own a house, she didn't have a car, she didn't have more than $70,000 in the bank, and the one who really had to lose something was me." Despite claiming Paige broke their contract, the former world champion said he doesn't want to collect on the money, but also made some serious claims against Paige. "There was a person who was arrested 3 times in San Antonio, Las Vegas, and Orlando for domestic violence. It was not me. There is a person who has 7 police reports for domestic violence in San Antonio." Nowadays, Paige remains with WWE and is doing much better, whilst Del Rio will face the recently released Andrade later this year. Del Rio will also face trial this year for assault and kidnapping with a different woman, and will keep viewers updated as that case continues. Smackdown news next, and after months of going unused, Aleister Black returned to TV last week with a dark storyteller character. After so much time away, SmackDown's creative team can't afford to mess up this promising run, and having Black confirm his first opponent tonight could only help his chances. Perhaps another segment with Black will air tonight, where the former NXT champion drops Seth Rollins' name in the vignette, as the pair do have history from their time on Raw. Black also needs a high-profile feud for his first major SmackDown program, something that Rollins definitely is, and given that the Messiah needs to step away from Cesaro as well, having him feud and ultimately lose to Black would do wonders in revamping the Dutch superstar. Over to Raw, and each week, MVP struts to the ring with a cane alongside the almighty WWE champion Bobby Lashley, but his stick is just as much about function than fashion. Speaking to WWE Espanol, MVP discussed the knee injury that he suffered a few months back, saying that he's trying to avoid surgery. Porter explained that he has one non-invasive procedure left, but if that doesn't work, then he might have to get some minor surgery for his knee. Saying that his knee is getting better but it hasn't fully healed yet, it sounds like things are going in the right direction. And if MVP can avoid going under the knife, then it may not be too long before he's competing in the ring alongside the WWE champion. One person fans won't see is Chelsea Green, who was released earlier this month after an injury during her SmackDown debut derailed all plans for her. Since being released, Green has said that she'd wait for hours outside Vince McMahon's office to pitch him ideas, and now we know what ideas the former superstar was bringing to the chairman. Speaking to Cultaholic, Green explained how she had a ton of ideas for her character, saying, "I had so many. I had a Daisy Duke character, I had a sexy nun character for the Messiah Seth Rollins. Like, what would be the Messiah's follower or worshipper? I pitched to be Dominik's girlfriend." Green added that one of her favorite ideas was for her to become, quote, "tri-conic," as she'd put on a fake Australian accent to join Billie Kay and Peyton Royce before trying to split them up. Obviously, WWE didn't go with any of these angles, as Green was injured during her SmackDown debut, ending what was reportedly going to be a big push for her on the Blue brand. Do you think any of these gimmicks would have worked though? Let us know in the comments. This time a month ago, Sasha Banks was the unquestionable boss of the SmackDown Women's division, but things have changed since she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship. Banks hasn't competed since she lost the title to Bianca Belair at WrestleMania Night 1, and there's a very good reason why she's been missing. A tenured member of WWE's creative team told Ringside News that the only match planned for the EST of WWE post-WrestleMania was against Bayley, and that Sasha is taking some time off to let Belair and the role model have the spotlight. The source also noted that when Sasha eventually returns, it'll mean something, and WWE can take their time building to a Banks vs. Belair rematch. Banks will be feuding with the new SmackDown Women's Champion again, but not right now, and WWE are more than happy to take their time for this feud. Fans can see plenty of Banks on the WWE Network on Peacock, and whilst fans haven't been thrilled with the NBC Universal streaming service, the numbers tell a different story. On Thursday, Comcast announced they've added over 9 million subscribers to Peacock and credit some huge pickups for the service, including WWE and The Office. The Office is obviously a huge drawing point, as fans were devastated when their Netflix contract lapsed, and now the show is on Peacock with uncut episodes and deleted scenes. With these huge gains, Peacock has amassed 44 million subscribers, close to HBO Max's 44.2 million, and whilst WWE fans may not like NBC Universal removing controversial segments or the lack of certain features, WWE's deal with the streaming service is proving to be a lucrative one for everyone involved. In 2018, WWE began a decade-long deal to host shows in Saudi Arabia, and we've seen some pretty unique matches in the years since. From Goldberg vs. The Undertaker to Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement, there's been plenty of matches fans never expected, but one match fans never saw would have included Hornswoggle. According to Fightful Select, there were plans for Swoggle to face Robbie the Giant Araujo, a fellow short-statured wrestler who's appeared in WWE content in the past as JB Elf. That match obviously didn't happen, and it's unclear if Hornswoggle was with WWE at the time that the plans were in motion. In the past, the Saudi Sports Authority has made some pretty big requests, including wanting the Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna to compete at one of these shows, but clearly WWE can't always put on the matches requested of them. For the past week, WWE has been making some major changes backstage, with Adam Pearce getting an important new role as Director of Live Events. This is the latest hint that WWE is preparing to go on the road again, and given his promotion, there's been speculation on what this will mean for Pearce's on-screen role, but the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion won't be vanishing anytime soon. Ringside News has been told that Vince McMahon is a big fan of Pearce's authority figure, saying it's credible and that he plays the WWE official role differently than done before. Rather than the traditional heel or face authority figure, Pearce portrays someone who is exactly down the middle, and whilst he's not physically cleared to compete in the ring, fans should expect to see more of him with the boss on his side. More from SmackDown, as tonight's show will see Daniel Bryan put his SmackDown career on the line against Universal Champion Roman Reigns. If this is to be Bryan's last match, at least on SmackDown, then it should be one fitting of the former world champion, who's openly admitted he didn't enjoy his WrestleMania 37 main event against Reigns and Edge. The end of Bryan on SmackDown could also mark the start of Jimmy Uso's return, as the former tag champion hasn't competed since WrestleMania 36. We can't think of a bigger way for Jimmy to return than by costing Bryan the Universal title and his spot on SmackDown, aligning himself with Reigns and his brother Jay. Jay's career has reached new heights in the past year ever since he aligned himself with the Tribal Chief, and retiring Bryan from the Blue brand would secure the trio as the top heel faction around. Whether Jimmy returns or not, the general consensus is that Bryan will lose, but that may not mean he's finished on SmackDown. With his career seemingly over, Paul Heyman could offer an olive branch to Bryan, saying he can stay on SmackDown only if he agrees to join forces with Reigns. A reluctant heel turn and becoming Roman's right-hand man would be a compelling storyline we're sure Bryan could pull off, as well as some excellent matches between Bryan and Reigns' next challenger, Cesaro. It makes a lot more sense to keep Bryan on SmackDown than to move him to Raw or NXT, and given how incredible his 2018-19 heel run was, we're sure WWE wouldn't be against having Bryan as a bad guy again. NXT news, and a few weeks ago we reported that producer Road Dogg Jesse James suffered a heart attack, but that didn't keep the Hall of Famer out for long. According to PW Insider, James returned as a producer for NXT this week, and we're pleased to see the former WWF Tag Team Champion of the World is doing much better. Over to Impact now, as the company's next big event, Under Siege, will be happening on May 15th, and 3 matches have now been confirmed for the show. After losing their titles at Rebellion, Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan will challenge new Knockouts Tag Team Champions Jordynne Grace and Rachel Ellering at the show. A 6-way #1 contenders match has been announced, with Matt Cardona and Chris Bay already confirmed, leaving 4 empty spots. It's been reported that Impact/AEW World Champion Kenny Omega would be in action, but he won't be defending any of his titles, as he'll team with the Good Brothers to face Eddie Edwards, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson in what'll be a huge main event for Under Siege on May 15th. It's possible that W. Morrissey, aka Big Cass, will be at Under Siege, as he's made his shocking debut for Impact at Rebellion. According to Fightful, Morrissey has signed a deal with Impact which will keep him around for the foreseeable future, and though it's not known just how long his contract is for exactly, we are pleased he's doing well after a few scary years following his 2018 WWE release. And we're ending today with Michael Tarver, who many fans may remember for his brief stint in the Nexus, who recently revealed that he was the victim of backstage politics. Speaking to the Talkin' Sass podcast this week, Tarver revealed that when he joined WWE, many important names showed an interest in him, including the Brooklyn Brawler, Armando Estrada, and most importantly, Vince McMahon. Tarver said that the chairman would often shirk some of his responsibilities to work with him on his promos, adding, "Me and Brawler, Armando Estrada, and Vince. We were just for hours doing promos after promo after promo, and I got so much heat for that. I was like, it wasn't even my decision." It's never a good thing to get heat backstage, especially when you're so new to WWE, and this may explain why Tarver's career in WWE ended just as quickly as it began. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.